Isn't that our challenge here? Priority, isn't it? We need to get our priorities straight. We need to have the priority to follow Jesus. Do you really follow Jesus? Turn to the person next to you and ask him that question. Do you really follow Jesus? All right. That makes it 5 minutes. Or do we just sit here watching the processional go by? Is that what you do? Is that what I do? Is this what the congregation does? Are we only sitting here watching this procession go by? We're not standing up, we're not paying attention, we don't have any priorities? Now let's look at discipleship. In the New Testament sense of what it means to be a disciple, it's close to the follower, closer to the discipler, if you want to say it, close to the person that is teaching. What we actually become like is the one we're following. We take his characteristics, behavior, the mannerisms, we think like he does, we do like he does. Respond like he does. When people look at us, they see the one we're following, don't they? They don't have to know that we're a Christian. They can see we're a Christian. They can feel we're a Christian. Now, back in the days of the early church, the word Christian was a derogatory term. A lot of us don't know that. People who weren't Christians would call somebody a Christian as an insult. Now, if you look at Acts 11:26 and Peter 4:16, you can kind of see that. Like today, sometimes people use the word Christian, and they're not mocking Christians, but we're our followers of Jesus. The word Christian means little Christ, literally translated, little anointed one. Jesus was anointed by God, set apart to do the ministry of God. The baptism of Jesus, the Holy Spirit descending as a dove, the voice of God the Father from heaven declaring Jesus is the anointed one. Jesus being set apart from all of the prophets for the ministry of God. We are so closely following Jesus that sometimes we become little Christ, the anointed ones. Someone called by Jesus, anointed to follow him in his ministry, a disciple who is a replica of the Master. This is our priority. This is what we should be doing. This is who we should be following. There's a story about a group of people who were preparing to climb a mountain in France. On the evening of the climb, a French guide outlined the requirements of the successful climb. He said, you will only reach the top of this mountain by taking the necessary equipment for climbing and leaving behind everything, unnecessary accessories. It's going to be a difficult climb, and this is the only way we can make it. Well, there was a young French man there, and he disagreed totally. In the morning, he showed up with a brightly colored blanket. He had cheese, he had wine, he had some chocolate bars, a bunch of cameras, he had a little portable seat. He had everything that you could imagine. And he could hardly walk. And the guide looked at him and said, you will never make it. You can only take the bare necessities to make the climb. The Frenchman was not deterred. So the group set off. And as they're walking up, he ran before them. And as they're coming up the mountain, they noticed a blanket on the ground. They noticed some cheese on the ground. They noticed some bottles of wine on the ground. They noticed the cameras on the ground. Everything that this Frenchman decided he was going to take up the mountain, he had left behind. And when they get up to the top of the mountain, there he was, with nothing except the bare necessities. So are we so tempted to say to Jesus, I need all my accessories? Or are we going to get rid of all our accessories and follow Jesus? I know why the Father sent me. And I know why the Father sent us to do what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to save the lost, just like Jesus. We are supposed to use what Jesus has taught us, his preaching and teaching, to save the lost. You don't understand. I can make it with all my accessories, we're telling Jesus, aren't we? I can't make it without my flat screen TV. I can't make it without my big SUV in my driveway. I can't make it without anything else. But you know something, we can. And why? Because that's the way he's equipped us. With no accessories at all. When you were born into this world, what did you have? Nothing. We were basically naked, weren't we? Basically, we were. But we were equipped already from the beginning, the time you were born. Just like the time Jesus was born, we were already equipped to do what God wanted us to do in this world. But unfortunately, our lives are so busy now. We're running around, we don't know why. We're running around, we don't know where. We have got no idea where we're going. But get ready for this, folks. All the stuff of our lives, everything that we filled our lives with, everything belongs to God. And He can take it away when He wants to, and He gives it to us when He wants to. But He's telling us you don't need any of that. I will equip you with everything you need to make you fishers of men. What accessories are you going to be holding on to? Are we going to be 100% sold out? Are we going to be 100% committed? Are we going to be 100% broken before we realize we need nothing? Who rules your heart? That's what we need to find out. Does God rule your heart? Has He equipped you to be fishermen? Let me put all this in a more positive way. Jesus invites us to follow Him. We get to be a part of Him. We get to be a part of what's going on in Him. And we get to be a part of what's going on in this world. And we get to make a change in the world according to what God tells us. Isn't that an awesome thing? He's picking us to help us be fishers of men. Now ask yourself this question. What do you need to set aside to move closer to Jesus? To take advantage of the incredible opportunity He's giving you to follow Him. Now let's go on to the second part of the statement Jesus makes. I will make you become fishers of men. The disciples allowed Jesus to make them into fishers. Share this with the person next to you, and I want to hear a good response, or I'm going to go on for another 20 minutes. Jesus needs to make us fishermen. Go ahead.
Jesus needs to make us fishermen.
All right. Yeah, it was.
Sunday morning?
All right. Let's look back at who Jesus actually called. These disciples were simple Galilean fishermen. We're not talking about scholars here. We're talking about rough-necked, unschooled, hardcore men, governed by Jewish passion and prejudice, narrow in their outlook. Definitely not, I would think, and probably not you would think, disciple material here. Isn't that interesting who Jesus picks for disciples? If you look at the disciples, it's incredible what He picks. But they came because He asked them to. And if you look in the actual Greek translation of the Bible, you will notice when He asked them to follow them, come them, it's more of a translation of a command, more of a military command. Nothing to be insulted about, but a command in order. Follow me. Now, we also have to look at immediately. But immediately, though, you have to understand, these four were in Galilee. Jesus has been around there. John was around there. And possibly, they've already heard John, and they knew what was going on. They had a little snippet in their brain. So when the call came out, the only thing Jesus did was kind of ignite what was in it.